Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got your first overview and gameplay for the WZ1001. This is on the dev server, and this is a currently rank 7 battle rating 11.0 Chinese main battle tank that, well, sits in the Chinese ground forces tech tree just underneath the WZ1001. So this will, in theory, be the new top level tank for the Chinese ground forces tech tree, but essentially, this is the same exact vehicle. So as you can see here, stats on the side, it looks more or less the same. It's got literally all the same stats. Now, bear in mind, this is the dev server, so things are subject to change upon release of the game, but it looks pretty much the same. Even the armor profile, I know that this camo makes it a little bit more difficult to see, but the armor profile is pretty much the same. And even this has FY4, FY5, it says FY4, FY5, and it's pretty much, again, the same. Now, interestingly, it almost looked like the WZ1001 is a little bit better protected, I mean, just slightly. So as you can see, this kind of goes along this far, and this actually goes around a little bit less, plus it has a missing piece of ERA right there. So it's a little bit weird, not really sure exactly what's happening. It could be that that block of ERA needs to move down a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what that is, but again, very, very interesting. This is pretty much, thus far, the same exact tank as what we have on the WZ1001. And as you can see, the WZ1001 has literally all the same exact modifications, no different. They are even in the same exact spots, and it also has the same generation of thermals. So again, not really sure exactly what the difference is here. Maybe this is some sort of a prototype that Gaijin felt like they wanted to put in game so that they could thicken up the top level of the Chinese ground forces tech tree. But again, as far as I could tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is more or less the same thing as the WZ1001. But again, slightly different hull shape and a little bit different armor placement, but that's really it. So that said, let's get into a match or two and see what we could do, but let's have a good time. So some interesting things to note here. I mean, one of the great things about the ZTZ tanks, and this is more or less an extension of the ZTZ tanks, again, pretty much the same exact thing as the WZ1001, is that this has such a wide range of ammunition. So this has the HEVT, it's got some ATGMs, it's got, of course, actually very powerful HE, and also it's got, Heat FS and also a lesser APF SDS. Now, the lesser APF SDS is not very good, so bear that in mind. The top level is actually pretty good. The one that that guy got sent to prison for, likely, or killed, this is actually quite a good shell. Now, that being said, and that's actually not a joke, somebody was actually leaked the documentation for that shell in a Gaijin forum, War Thunder forum, and being that's China, that person probably was dealt with very swiftly. Now, one thing interestingly about this is that when it comes to this tank in particular, at least right now on the dev server, so the aiming is quite a bit off with this. I don't know if you guys knew. Perfect. Good, I got the fuel tank. Okay, works for me. I don't think he has an auto loader, so if he wants to put that out. There we go. So when I was playing this, when I was playing in the dev server for the Finnish ground forces tech tree, so the sub tree and the Swedish ground forces tech tree, this was actually the same exact issue with the T-72. I believe it was the M1, and so this is a dev server problem, if I'm not mistaken. So as you can see, I'll do some adjusting here. If you notice, it's going up and down, but it's still not aligning with the circle here. I believe that's just a dev server issue. It's happened before, so do not think that this is not going to be fixed, because it very, very much should be fixed, probably very quickly, once, of course, they are aware. Now, one of the big problems when it comes to the dev server is, unfortunately, going to be the fact that I am going to be facing a lot of World War II tanks. There's only like, what, 5, maybe 6 enemy players here. So that's about it. Now, he took out my cannon breach, which is booty chatter, to say the least. So I'm going to go back up here and destroyed some of my much-loved ERA. So I'm going to back up. Going to turn around. This is an ugly maneuvering job. I'm going to save my last two plus my engine smoke. What is going on here? I can't even see. Oh, Jesus. I really hate the new smoke graphics. Let me tell you guys, so much. They stink. They make it so difficult to maneuver in your own smoke if you're in third person. Even first person is just not fun. Ah, I hate this aiming. Bear in mind, this is not how Chinese tanks aim. This is not how they aim. This is just something quirky with the dev server. At least this just shouldn't be how they aim. If this is how they are in real life, man, then I'm surprised that mainland Taiwan, or, well, you guys know what I mean. Taiwan didn't invade mainland Taiwan, because these are some really, really off-putting tank gun controls. So hopefully he's still here. He is, and got his radiator? Really? That's it? Okay, gonna aim up a little bit. Got the kill. Perfect. So, of course, this, in my opinion, this is a fantastic tank. Again, this is kind of like how they did with the Japanese prototype, the TRX prototype, I believe it was. How it's pretty much the same as the Type 10, but of course, I think it's just meant to fill out the tech tree. It's not like this is a bad vehicle. Actually, I think that this is a fantastic vehicle overall. Like, really, really good. But, of course, is this guy? Nah, that guy can't be real. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's another one. Man, I hate these controls. I hate this. But overall, like I said, I think that this is pretty much as good as a as what you'd be getting with the ZTZ99A. Very, very good vehicle overall. So that said, let's get into one more quick match. This one got over a little bit earlier than I wanted, but as you can see, good armor, speed, maneuverability, cannon, and pretty much everything that you could want. So as I was saying in the last match, I mean, this pretty much is identical to the ZTZ99A, which makes it, again, just a really good overall tank. Now, some of the downfalls, the pitfalls to having a tank like that, where it's just really good, at least in War Thunder, you know, who knows how it is in real life, is that you have, you know, it's not really got great armor, you know, unless you have X amount of armor, you're not going to defeat a shell, you know, unless you have X amount of whatever. And this has close to X amount of everything, right, to be really, really good in the X or Y category. But unfortunately, it, you know, close to is not necessarily going to be sufficient. So this will still be able to protect you from autocannons, things of that nature, but that's really about it. You know, of course, the ERA does help out tremendously when stopping shells, but it's more or less one-time use. You know, of course, it can be degraded over time, especially when hit by LMGs, HMGs, things of that nature, rather than being totally destroyed. But, you know, that's, again, kind of mostly one-time use when being hit by actual shells. Now, interestingly, and again, kind of lending to the theory that the that this model is more or less incomplete, the commander sights don't really work at all. Ooh, Begleiterpanzer. Again, this is a very, very good vehicle, and actually, I really, really like it a lot. But ultimately, there are a few, again, some pitfalls with it. So here we are, just wiping out World War II tanks as the Founding Fathers intended. But of course, with modern tanks as our steeds. Okay, got a hit there. Now, ultimately, I don't really care if I get a kill, you know, an assist, whatever, in this sort of game, because it doesn't really matter, you know. One of the main deficits of this vehicle, by the way, one of the main downsides, of course, is going to be the fact that it has three crew members. So this does have an autoloader, which is very nice, and that more or less guarantees a 7.1 second reload, which again, with 100 or 577 millimeters of armor pen, is fantastic. But again, you know, it does make it so that survivability is a bit less once a pen occurs. Now, one thing to remember with this, or actually one thing if you guys want, I do have WZ1001 gameplay. I'll try to link that below if I remember when I post this. But pretty much the, again, the WZ1001 is a phenomenal vehicle. It's just really good overall. It's got good speed, good maneuverability, good this, that, and the other thing. But again, ultimately, this just feels like how War Thunder kind of made a copy of the Type 10. This feels like that, more or less. It's pretty much what the TRX prototype is, or whatever it's referred to in the live server right now. That's what that is to the Type 10, but to the WZ1001. A fantastic overall vehicle with excellent qualities overall. I mean, like, again, great speed, great acceleration, fairly good armor, not the greatest, great cannon for the most part. I mean, it doesn't have the best armor pen, but pretty much, I mean, with smart shell placement, or even somewhat smart shell placement with this, you should be able to do well. Now, it looks like he got me from the side here. That is correct. Okay, I'm just going to spawn in one more time, and that'll be it. Oh yeah, and some other things, this has, and I confirmed it, and again, I think the commander sites are still being worked on, as you can tell, but the commander sites do seem to have some level of thermal, not really sure exactly what type. I believe the gunner's commander sites are Gen 2, but this has, again, just per the stat card, it looks like it's got the same exact zoom rate and also field of view as the gunner's sight on the WZ1001, as well as the commander sights. So those appear to be more or less about the same. Perfect. Got myself a kill versus a jumbo. Who would have expected? Okay, we have a Leopard 2K over there. I'm expecting him to kind of come up. Now, this is where the dev server really screws you over, because there's no fix to this as far as I can tell, this wonky aiming reticle. About to be killed by this guy. Got killed. Okay, so that said, do I like this vehicle? Yes. I think that the WZ1001 is fantastic, but again, it more or less feels like a WZ1001 clone. That's not a bad thing, but you have to wonder, I mean, how real is this tank? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments below if you guys know how real this tank actually is, because I am genuinely, interested to know if it's actually real. You know, it just, it seems a little bit too similar to the WZ1001 to really make sense as a tank, just to be the same exact tank twice. Not really sure. So either way, thanks so much again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.